Those things only God can do. Heard that phrase last night in church at Liberty Baptist Church here in Republic, Washington. Actually, my son, in his message, preached on Daniel and Daniel's prayer life. So that's one of the things that he addressed, the fact that, coming to a place in your life where you call on the Lord and you pray to the Lord, because you know that there are some things that we have no control of. We can't. We just have to. Some people would say consign it to fate, or resign it to fate. But when you're a believer, you can turn those things that we can't deal with only to God. So then after that, during the prayer request time, there was someone who asked for a prayer request, and this is something that only God can do. And her request was of the nature that, if it doesn't happen, she won't like the outcome. A good friend of ours, little 4-year-old daughter, had cancer, and dealt with it, and they went through the chemotherapy and the year-long thing like my wife and I went through, only this was a little 4-year-old girl, and dealt with it. And it's been a few months now, and all of a sudden they've discovered, I think yesterday, that the cancer is back, and how they said it is back with a vengeance. And doctors are giving her like a 25% chance this time. So that looks like it's something that only God can do. Doctors are going to be able to do whatever medicine they can do. They've already done chemotherapy. They're going to use chemotherapy to try to reduce the tumors and make them small enough that they can do some kind of operations. Right now they're inoperable. And so it's only God can do. And if God doesn't do, God doesn't heal her, that's going to be an outcome that we don't like. Nobody's going to care for that. But here's the thing: when you know God is, and you know who God is, you can be content with whichever outcome that it have. Is someone would say, well, you're using God the belief in God to comfort you during a hard time, and you're going to use the belief in God but God really isn't going to do anything one way or the other, because God can't do anything because He doesn't exist. Or some people think that way. But when you know God is, and you know who God is, you know that He is capable. That with God nothing is impossible, and that all things work together for good to them that love God. So that it's not like, if God answers my prayer and does what I want Him to do, I can give it to God. And if God doesn't answer my prayer and doesn't do what I want Him to, well, then I can find comfort in that. It isn't that. It is that because God is who God is, and we know that God is capable of all things, then we can trust that when He does what only He can do, that what He does will be the right thing, the best thing, the only thing that should have happened, and we can trust in that.